Several of my friends have asked for plans for my charcoal making retort, and I thought it would be simpler and more informative just to make a video that shows you how I made it and also how I run it. There are basically two ways to make charcoal. The traditional kiln, in which you smolder the wood in restricted air. In the more modern 19th century invention called the retort, we put the wood in a sealed container and cook all the volatiles out of it. And we can use those volatile gases by redirecting the gases into the firebox. We can use those gases to fuel the reaction. So that's basically what we're doing with this rig. I've made several retorts over the years, and this is a convenient size and something that's worked really well. So first, let's talk about the wood that we're going to use for the charcoal. So it's important to have this wood cut into fairly short lengths. That ensures that we have lots of spaces for the hot gases to move throughout the upper chamber, and also having it cut into shorter lengths means that the moisture and gases can escape out the end grain, just as in drying it'll move a lot faster through the end grain. So it's good to expose a lot of end grain. Here I have some scraps from a lumber mill the friend runs. These are kiln dried. I also have scraps of farther down in the pile. I have cut up sawmill culled lumber, and I also use branch wood when I'm cutting my firewood. All the branches from say 1 to 3 inches in diameter are also cut into short length. I found the most efficient way to do that is just to lock them through to length with a coarse blade on a bandsaw. If you need to use a firewood size wood to do this, the most effective way that I found is to cut the logs into short wafers of inch or two that will dry quickly, and then are also easy to split up into several pieces. And species. Of course, any species will make charcoal. For iron smelting, I kind of prefer to use hardwood. For forging, I know a lot of people prefer to use softwoods. But generally you need a good sound wood that has a good strong grain structure so that it'll hold together when you're cooking it. Mostly I use red oak, white oak, ash, maple, some yellow pine, hickory. The main thing I cull out is spruce, pine, fir, and poplar, and any unsound wood, and that's what I will use for the firing chamber. So one of the nice things about the retort is that I can use junky wood to fire it. So this is probably, I'm guessing this is about as much as I need to run make a run of this charcoal. I can use construction debris and kind of junk wood, species that I did not want to charcoal, sticks that you pick up in the yard, pretty much anything. So let's talk about the construction of the upper chamber. The biggest part of this, the toughest part of this job is making the loading and unloading doors that need to they need to stay gas tight, and they need to be strong enough to not deform under the heat. So these are two matching frames of 5/16 by 2. 3/8 probably would have been better, and made them to match, drilled matching holes through both. The upper ones for oversized for 3/8, lower ones are drilled and tapped for a 3/16 bolt, and I just stuck a couple of hinges on there for convenience sake, and then I can go around and bolt this shut. We have these. This is about every 4 inches to keep the doors from deforming under the heat. And I've made the same technique for the unloading door, which is so in the retort we're going to channel the gases that come off of the charcoaling wood back into the firebox. That both makes it cleaner, and in the second half of the operation, all these after the water is gone, all the volatile gases are flammable, and so basically it's going to cook itself. So here I just used 2 of the outlets that were in the top of the tank already, and I've made a pipe, an 1.25 pipe. This originally I had them both going back into the firebox. For some reason this one kept getting clogged up with tar, so I've shortened this one just so it blows back directly onto the coaling chamber. The other gas outlet I have is here in the front. I originally added this just as a water drain to make sure I didn't get water in the bottom of this tank. But I found that it's good to have gas flow somewhere out the front too, because this is the coldest area that of the coaling chamber, so it's good to have hot gases flowing out. And I've made this little thing to go in there to direct those hot to the flames, either back onto the firebox, onto the coaling chamber, or into the firebox. So the firebox. The firebox is another oil drum. And the reason I've made an enclosed firebox with a steel bottom is that I can, for those of you who are making this charcoal for iron smelting like me, I can throw iron ore into the firebox while I'm making the charcoal and roast my iron ore at the same time and still have a nice clean bottom to scrape it up from. So the firebox has just a big door cut in it in order to throw the firewood in, and then we'll look inside. So to support the the charcoaling chamber on top, I put 4 pipes in here to hold up the bottom, keep it from sagging. I wish that I had put a lintel across the top, but I didn't. So you can see that everything's distorted pretty badly, but it's been working for years. I cut a few holes into the lower firebox so that the flame could lick directly onto the coaling chamber, but I'm not sure that was necessary. Hello, bug. And then you can see in here, here's the jet coming in from the 1.25 pipe that's bringing the volatile gases back in. Okay, now let's go look at the side. So here on the side of the firebox, I cut torch cut 4 holes so that flames can wrap up around the coaling chamber. These have all burned out over the years, but originally they were probably about 4 inches in diameter. And then I put these brackets on here, and what was originally another straight piece of sheet in order to deflect the flame against the firebox. I can add additional wood here if I need more flame. This bracket also is going to support the cowl that's going to go over on the last step. That'll make more sense at the end. And let's look at the back. And here on the back, I've also cut an exhaust hole, and then I stuck another piece of sheet metal to again deflect any flame back up against the coaling chamber. So I constructed the firebox separately and the coaling chamber separately, and then put the coaling chamber on top, and then it's just welded in a couple of places along the front and the back seam, as well as on the brackets here. And that way it'll be easy to replace either piece when the time comes. So before we put the cowl on, we got to get this, of course, get this door all sealed up tight. I like to put a little bit of anti-seize, hot anti-seize on the bolts. And obviously it's nice to have these top holes good oversized clearance holes, because everything's gets distorted, and so sometimes I have to bang these things around in order to get all the bolts in. And then we'll tighten these up. Okay, now all we need to do is put the cowling on top. Cowling is another sheet off of another oil tank, and this is just to guide the flame around the charcoal box and to reflect the heat back on it. And then one last little addition is a little waste oil drip that I've added to put into the firebox. And it just rests in there like that. Just a funnel with a valve. And we're ready to make charcoal tomorrow. Okay, it's noon. I just started the fire slow. I've got a large iceberg down there I have to melt, so it's going to take a while. And we were looking at the footage I shot yesterday. I forgot to mention that there's also here in the drain of the oil tank, I've added another outlet that'll be shooting flames back onto the side. And this is kind of be our main gauge for what's going on in there. So we started at noon. Okay, we've been cooking kind of mellow fashion for about an hour and a half. And we're starting to get up near the boiling point, as you can see from all the steam coming off. 198, 186, 235. And we'll have to feed it pretty steady now, and it'll take a long time to break through this through the boiling point. And then next time we come back, we'll probably have jumped up to 300. Okay, we're about 3 hours in, and we're still stuck in the 200s. There's 195 to 270 degrees Fahrenheit, that is. So we're still boiling off water, but you can see that that steam is lessening to some extent. Okay, here's the view from the working end, and you can see what we want is flame. We're not about coals, we're about flame. And now we have a good bed of coals in there. I'm throwing in a chunk of iron ore every once in a while. Not too fast because we don't want to cool off the fire. Okay, here we are, 3 hours and 15 minutes in. Only 15 minutes later than last time, and you can see things have changed. We popped up to about 220 degrees here, 390 degrees here, and you can see that the pressure is building, starting to build. The gases are flammable, but not quite self-sustaining yet. But so now is the time that we want to just keep pushing up, keep feeding this fire good, and try to push the temperature up from 300 to 400 degrees. Things will happen quickly now. Okay, we're at 3 hours, and 3.5 hours in, you can see the pressure is built up, it's jumped way up. I have a temperature of 330 degrees there, the center, 450 at the top. And pretty soon this is going to be a self-sustaining flame. But not yet. But you can see that the pressure has jumped up. All of that flame that you see coming out of the firebox is from the reburning from the major gas inlet on the other side. Let's go look in the firebox. Okay, you can see from all that swirling flame down in there, that's all the reburn from the big 1.5-inch pipes on the other side. So things are really starting to cook now. Okay, here we are at 3 hours and 45 minutes. You can see the pressure has dropped back a little bit, but all the flames, all the gas is flammable. I got 650 degrees on the top, 350, 430. And at this time where it kind of seems like it wants to drop back again a little bit, this is the time to just really keep making sure you keep that temperature up for a little while. So don't slack off on stoking your wood fire. And now is also a good time, now it's really nice and hot in there, just keep adding ironwork. Okay, here we are 4 hours in, just 15 minutes further on from last time. You can see the pressure has dropped a bit. We still have 500 degrees here, 550 here, 450 here, 350 there. These here and here are the two coldest spots, and this is the two spots where we might get some uncooked wood. In the cooling chamber in the rear is like all up at way over 600 degrees. And so now we just want to kind of keep things going until all the gases stop flowing. I'll take you around to show the different places again. So here you can see the pressure has dropped, but we've got flame wrapping all the way around the cooling chamber nicely. Still plenty of flame in there. You can see the oil feed dripping in there. It's slowed down, but you can see the side pipe still blowing a flame onto the back. And the temperature there, 700 degrees on the back of the cooling chamber. So here we are, 4 hours and 15 minutes in. You can see things have kind of slowed down and dropped back, but there's still plenty of volatiles coming out, so we want to keep it cooking as much as we can. We're dropped down to 360 degrees here, 460 up here, 390, 340. So, usually I just try to bring it back up a couple of times, but it won't. You'll find that you won't really achieve that temperature again. And so I just kind of keep cooking it until the gases, the furnace gases start kind of petering out. And now I can kind of concentrate on roasting iron ore in the bottom while I do that. So here we are at 5 hours in, and you can see that even though I have a nice flame wrapping all the way around it, The gas is pretty much petering out here. So we're kind of done. That was pretty quick. I usually think of this as a 6-hour thing. This was probably a little faster because about half of it was kiln dried and air dried. So I'll just probably keep stoking it for a little bit just so, until that gas really lays back. Okay, here we are at 5:30. I think I'm going to call that quits. We'll take a look and see how it did in the morning. Okay, here we are next day. Everything's nice and cold. You can see I capped off this vent and this vent. And you can see the ores nicely roasted. So let's open this up and see how we did. So usually in the front, which is the coldest spot right against the very front of the chamber, I'll have a few pieces of undercooked charcoal. Most and everything else is good, clingy, ringy charcoal. I'm getting, I think I'm usually getting about 180 pounds of charcoal out of a run. So there you go, some good, nice fuel for foraging, smelting, or cooking. Oh yeah, one last thing. Here's my handy dandy unloading funnel.